This is the HHW LOD Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Jordan from the brand new HHW LOD Podcast Network, as you might have been able to tell from the brand new intro. More on that later. First, though, today we have the last comics I read of 2010, and then later on, the first comics I read in 2011. First off, from Jonathan Hickman, we have Secret Warriors issue number 23, in which Sebastian Druid rejoins the team briefly, after he's trained extensively by John Garrett. About 6 months ago, Druid was kicked off the team. He was told he didn't have what it takes, but no one really ever gets to leave Nick Fury's army. And in this issue, we get to see exactly how he was trained and how he rejoins the team. It's explosive, there's some great action, and a twist at the end I wasn't expecting. Also from Jonathan Hickman last week, we had S.H.I.E.L.D. issue number 5, where we learn the identity of this guy, the Night Machine. Also in this issue, we rejoin Howard Stark and Nathaniel Richards, the fathers of Iron Man and Mr. Fantastic, respectively. Seems they've been sent to the future since the events of, I believe, issue 3, and you can find out a lot more about that if you're reading Fantastic Four, which I'm currently catching up on, because I want to jump on when the FF arc starts. The art continues to be absolutely fantastic. There are some great double-page spreads in the middle that map out the passage of time. And I've got to say, going back and rereading the first 4 issues, followed by this one again after I read it the first time, the series is really coming together. There was a lot of stuff hidden in those first couple issues, only revealed now that we're getting into issues 5 and beyond. I absolutely love the series. It's one of my favorites out there right now, and great work, Jonathan Hickman. And let's end 2010 with a kind of disappointing comic in the end, actually. Mark Millar's Nemesis issue number 4. Now, when I first read it, you can go back and check my Twitter feed at JordanFRMJersey. I thought it was great. And then, like with S.H.I.E.L.D., I went back and reread the whole thing. It's only 4 issues. Doesn't really hold up. It's got the ultra-violence and some of the craziness you expect from Mark Millar. It also has a twist at the end that, barring time travel or something along those lines, which has never been hinted at in the comic whatsoever, the twist doesn't make any sense. Like, at all. Doesn't it? Even if you want to say this guy was so smart, it still doesn't work. There's too many things that probability-wise don't make any sense. And I'm no mathematician, even I can see that. So I'm going to give the series another chance. If they put out Volume 2, I'll read it. Hopefully they can clear some of that up, but yeah, it doesn't hold up to a second reading, that's for sure. So that wraps up 2010, but before we get to 2011, as you may have noted from the banner or the fact that I said, hey, welcome to the brand new HHW LOD Podcast Network, you're going to want to go to hhwlod.com right now. The site's been completely revamped. We have new shows. Everything looks fantastic, and this is the start of something very new, so we want to change all the branding to make it seem as new as the content's going to be. So, if you go to hhwlod.com right now, you'll still find Half Hour Wasted. You're still going to find Legion of Dudes. We just put out our Lock and Key episode. In fact, I think you'll really enjoy that one. You're still going to find Walking Dead TV. We got lots of great content there, giveaways, all kinds of cool stuff. Gearing up for Season 2 of the show. Check that out. And you're going to find a brand new show called Media Minutes. That is media reviews in 5 minutes or less. If you love this video here, and I hope you do, I try, you're going to be able to find audio versions of that on that feed. You're going to be able to find Blu-ray reviews, television reviews, music reviews, all kinds of stuff right there. So check it out. Plus, we're adding all the shows from PK Media to the site, to the network. Check it out. hhwlod.com. The tech guys spent so much work on it. Check it out. Leave them a comment because it looks fantastic. So, with that said, let's get back to the reviews and start off 2011. And since we ended 2010 with a kind of disappointing comic, let's start 2011 the same way. Iron Man Thor issue 3 and 4 from Abnett and Lanning. Look, I'm a huge fan of Abnett and Lanning. They're two of my favorite writers in the business. That said, the idea behind this comic, kind of cool. Kind of cool. You know, the High Evolutionary, he's trying to create the next breed of gods. Better than the old gods. You know, out with the old, in with the new, brand new year, all that kind of stuff. Execution-wise, it just doesn't really work. I'm not excited about it. Nothing in there is fun. Nothing in there is too interesting. Interesting concept, guys, but execution-wise, didn't really pan out this time. Better luck next time, though. However, what did pan out as a concept for Abnett and Lanning and cementing them as two of my favorite writers, even with a disappointing comment like that out there, Thanos Imperative Devastation. This is the one-shot epilogue to the Thanos Imperative. If you haven't checked out Thanos Imperative, definitely go back and check it out. It was great. If you can go back all the way to the beginning of their run on Cosmic, that'd be awesome. If you can only afford or have the time to go back to Guardians of the Galaxy and start there, that's where I jumped on. You'll have no problem understanding what's going on, and it's going to be a great ride. Honestly, start there, read through the current. Fantastic the whole way through. In this issue, King Blastar turned on his tentative allies, and everybody saw that coming, and Cosmo, the Russian cosmonaut telepathic dog, for real, awesome character, he has to go and round up a bunch of heroes to protect the people. And since the Nova Force isn't around anymore, and the Guardians of the Galaxy are pretty much defunct, who does he turn to? Well, he starts a brand new team called the Annihilators. The new series is going to be launching soon. This almost works as an issue 0, so even if you haven't read Thanos Imperative, check this one out, because it's a great starting point for Annihilators, which starts next month. So who are the Annihilators? Well, Ronan the Accuser, Gladiator, Silver Surfer, Beta Ray Bill, and Quasar, and another character. Twist at the end, don't know exactly how that's going to work out, but I'm very interested to see where it starts off in Annihilators #1. Definitely check out Thanos Imperative, though. Great comic. Also new for 2011, looks like I'm going to be covering all the comics from Radical Publishing. So today we have 2. Let's get right to them. The first one is Earp, Saints for Sinners. And when I say Earp, I definitely mean Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Shootout at the OK Corral. You probably know the story. Basically, even if you don't know all the details, don't worry, I didn't know all the details, comic worked out just fine for me. So issue #1 has the Earp family and Doc Holliday in a slightly dystopic future, about 30 to 40 years from now, where law enforcement's kind of broken down and U.S. Marshals, like they were, is kind of all that's left. Now they've kind of turned to guarding trains, and they've opened their own casino, the A-OK Casino, just like the OK Corral. And it's actually pretty interesting. I really enjoyed the art in the book. It reminded me of the painted style used by Miguel Sepulveda in the Thanos Imperative. But there's actually 3 artists on the book. I don't know how they split that up, if one person's doing faces, another's doing bodies, another's doing backgrounds, but it flows together flawlessly. If I didn't know there was 3 artists, well, I wouldn't know there was 3 artists. So however they pulled that off, kudos to them. I'd be remiss not to mention the size of the story. It's like 64 pages long just for this first chapter. And like I said, I didn't know the true story that well at all. I really had a good time with this, though, and I looked up some of the facts. They're not all, one-to-one correlation, but they really did have a good interpretation of the story. So if you like crime thrillers, you like westerns, you just like futuristic dystopian tales, check this one out. It was really cool. I should also mention that Earp, Saints for Sinners and the next one are both for mature readers only, so sorry kids. So Rider on the Storm, issue 2 of 3, reminds me kind of Hellboy and Constantine, at least to my very minimal knowledge of those 2 characters. I've seen the movies anyway. Our main character, Rider, is a demon raised by humans who's only recently found out about his heritage and that he kind of now has to pick a side in the battle, and which one is he going to choose. So that's all pretty straightforward. What's not straightforward is the ending, which has something so messed up. I loved it. I absolutely can't wait to see where issue 3 goes with that, but if you're going to put something that whacked out and crazy in a comic, you got my respect. Another comic that earns my respect is Terry Moore's Echo, in this case issue #27. Love that cover. That might earn a spot on my wall. That's really cool. Now, I've talked about Echo before, but not too much of the actual underlying basic plot. Test pilot, wearing this alloy suit, is shot down by her own people. The fallout lands on this girl, and she then gains superpowers that she doesn't want and or need, and now she's on the run from that company. So her and a group of friends are now in Alaska trying to stop some of that material from being put into a large Hadron Collider and ending the world, because that would be bad. On top of that, our main character is now grown to about 7 feet tall over the last few issues, while her secret agent friend is de-aging to about the age of 14. They don't know why, they know it has something to do with the material, but they don't know how to stop it or where it's going to end. Characterization in this book is great. There's a hitman in this particular issue who has one of the most efficient contract killings I've ever seen, and I'm never meeting anyone out in the desert for any reason again. I've learned my lesson from reading comic books. The series is going to be ending pretty soon, I think issue 36, and I can't wait to start over and read it all the way through from beginning to end, because so far, I absolutely love it. And finally this week we have Ant-Man and Wasp, issue 3 of 3, written and illustrated by Tim Seeley. Look, I'm not a huge Hank Pym fan. I've said it before, I've said it often. But I will say at the end of this 3-issue miniseries, I actually feel like I understand the character quite a bit more. He's still not my favorite, but I don't actively dislike him, at least, so that's a plus. If you've been reading Avengers Academy, you know that the character of Pym has stopped going by Wasp and is now going by Giant Man again. These 3 issues kind of explain more than issue 7 of Avengers Academy did why he made that choice, and while he's changing, it's good to know that other characters like Eric O'Grady, the irredeemable Ant-Man, never really do. He's still an awful human being, and we love him for it in this issue. I didn't love everything about the miniseries. There were some writing choices that weren't my favorite. Some of the art, like there was a virus that affects Eric O'Grady in this issue, and how that's portrayed is weird, like very strange. So I didn't love everything, but in general, this was a really fun comic. It's not going to change your life, but it was definitely worth the money and quite enjoyable. So that's it for the last comics I read in 2010 and the first I read of 2011. Don't forget, check out the brand new, relaunched HHWLOD.com. Like I said, they put a ton of work into it. Check it out. It looks absolutely fantastic. Don't forget, follow me on Twitter at JordanFRMJersey. And hey, if you want to hear this in audio format, that's going to be on the brand new HHWLOD.com as well. Have a good week.
This is the HHW LOD Podcast Network.